Shalom. So today we're going to talk about the understanding of a biblical week. But before we get into anything, first we're going to go to the book of Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 8. It says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord." Right? So what happens is we have a way of looking at things, and the Most High has his way of looking at things, and they're not always the same. So what we're going to deal with is the different perception so that we can look outside this cultural way of thinking to get back to the thoughts of the Most High, which is this, right? So when we're dealing with the concept of a week, right, it comes with certain things which we're going to explore. Like, for example, a week is a period of 7 days. But this is not random 7 days like counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is ordinal, meaning you're dealing with position. And I want you to keep that word in your mind because it's going to play a key role in understanding week, right? So it's dealing with a position. So the seventh day, a period of 7 days, but the seventh day. So what we are seeing is there's a distinction between 7 days and seventh day. Seventh day is dealing with a position. It means it falls in a certain position, right? The next thing is that a week has a starting point and a ending point, right? The next thing is it starts at the first work day and it ends at the rest day. Remember earlier we said that you have a period of 7 days and you have seventh day. So let's look into this. For example, understanding of a biblical week, right? Let us now go to Genesis chapter 2 and verse 1. Genesis chapter 2 and verse 1. It says, "Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day," seventh is dealing with a position, "God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made." So he rested on the seventh day. Now, for example, because we're going to deal with two different cultures, we're dealing with the culture that we live in today. For example, let's call this Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. For example, in this culture, if someone starts working on a Wednesday, you work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and your day off is on Tuesday. People will think this concept of 7 days is the same as seventh day. What is the difference? This is for you to ask yourself, interact with me. You cannot take 4 days from 1 week or 5 days from 1 week and merge it with 2 days from another week and call that 1 week. That is a period of 7 days, but is not the period of a week. Because remember, the week begins at a certain point and ends at a certain specific point, right? So from here to here is a period of 7 days, but it is not the position of the seventh day. So that's what we're trying to discern. This is what we're trying to understand about a week, right? Now, to answer the question, how many weeks are in a year? This is a problem because the days of the week in this culture, they are not tied to anything. They're not tied to the month, and the month is not tied to a year. It is just like going on and on, right? Now, this is also chaotic because they will say 365 days in a year. But if it goes on and it's not attached to anything, then there's no limits. There's no limit to it. So how then do you say 365 if it's not connected to anything within the year? So it's either it's continuous or it's not continuous, right? The same thing with the days of the month. It has to be tied to the month. So when the Most High says on the 8th day, the question is on the 8th day of what? On the 15th day. On the 15th day of what? It has to be the 8th day of a month, the 15th day of a month, the 22nd day of a month, the 29th day of a month. So this is what we need to understand. So even though there are only 7 days that are fixed, these are fixed days for the Most High. But the days of the month is for us. So guess what? The 15th day of the month, it has to fall on a what? At a certain position. So when you're understanding calendar, it is not about a date in time, but it is what? A position in the heavens. And this is why I said it would play an important role. It is about a position. Just like, for example, when people say, okay, January 1st is the beginning of a year, March 1st, February 1st, that's the beginning of a month, right? All of these in this culture is a date in time. Let me put it here. All of this is a date in time in this culture. But the Most High said, your ways of calculating time is not my ways. Because your ways is a date in time, but my ways is. But the Most High way is a location or a position in the sky, in the heavens. How do we know this? Let us go to Genesis chapter 1 and verse 3. It says, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. Now, this is the next thing. A lot of the people who are teaching this, what they do is go precept upon precept, right? But you cannot go to precept if you do not understand what the very first precept means that you are starting with. So, again, Genesis 1 verse 3, it says, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. Now, ask yourself, what is the light that the Most High is speaking of? Now, your second question, what is the concept of light? What is your concept or your understanding of light? Because a lot of us never really explore our own beliefs about these things. It doesn't matter how much precept you go to, until you understand your concept of light, then these precepts will not make any sense. It will not make any difference. It's just like if you're building a foundation. If your first layers of blocks are not straight, are not leveled, it doesn't matter how many blocks you go up, it will still be off balance. You have to get the first one straight, in order, leveled and everything. Then everything else that you put on top will fit in. Now back to this light. Let's understand it from the ancient culture. This is the word awar, right? A meaning the leader or strength. Wa means to secure, to attach. And Ra is the head. So the concept of light from this standpoint is saying what? You lead from above or you lead from the top. It deals with the concept of organizing, because when you read all the 6 days here, the Most High was going to do what? Work. He's going to organize things. He's going to put the trees over there. He's going to put the rivers there. He's going to put the springs there. He's going to put all these things in order. But the first thing you need is what? Light. Before you can organize anything. Now let's deal with your situation, a scenario. What if you wash your clothes? You leave them out to dry. You went to work, right? but you wouldn't come home until night. You ask somebody at the home to take the clothes and put them inside the room, right? When you get home in the night, it's dark. Before you can organize, before you can fold your clothes and put them anywhere you need to put them, what's the first thing you have to do? The first thing you have to do is to do what? Let there be light, and you turn on your switch. That's the first thing when it comes to organizing. So light in this concept, in this culture that we live, is not the same as light from the ancient culture, because it always comes with an order, organizing. And this is the part that we miss. This is why he said, come out of her, my people. Come out, let's get out of this English cultural thought process. It's far from reality. This is the concept of light that gives a reality to it. You lead from above. You lead from the top. It's just like the Abba of the house, the father of the house. You lead from what? You are the head. You lead from above. You lead from the top. That's the same concept of light. Now that we understand this concept, let us go to Matthew chapter 28 and verse 1 and get an understanding of when it starts. This says, in the end of the Sabbath, remember, Sabbath is the seventh day, ordinal position. In the end of the Sabbath, as it began to dawn. Now, this is the next thing, because you will speak to people and they'll tell you that there are two dawns, one in the morning and one in the evening. What? Then, if there's a dawn that is in the evening, in the sunset period, time period, when is dusk? There's no such thing as two dawns. There's a dawn, that's a twilight in the morning, right? And there's a dusk, that's a twilight in the evening, that ushers in the night. The twilight in the morning ushers in the day, right? So people will go precept and precept to explain something that is in their heads, because there's no such thing as a dawn in the sunset period. So it says, as it began to dawn towards the first day. So when the seventh day comes to an end, right? After the end of your rest day, what follows is going to be your first work day. So that's the ending point and the starting point of the Sabbath. This is why I was making a distinction between a period of 7 days. So you cannot count from the fourth day in 1 week and go to the next week and count the first 2-3 days and say that's a week. Just like, for example, let's deal with this again in another way. A year, 1 year equals how many months? 12, right? 12 months. No. Every year has to have how many months? 12 months, right? Now the question is every 12 months the period of 1 year? No, it's not the same. So even though 12 months is a period of 1 year, or makes a year, it does not mean that every 12 months is a year. For example, if you should count from June, July, August, September, all the way back to May, that's going to be June to May. Is how many months? 12. Is it 1 year? No, it is 12 months, but it is not 1 year. It's the same as from Wednesday to Tuesday. How many days? 7. 7 days, right? Is it 1 week? No, it's not a week. So we have to come to this understanding so we can stop take some days from this week and merge it with some days from last week and call it a week. It's a period of days, but it's not a week. So I hope we come to that understanding. So now the next question is, how many days are in a year? Ask yourself, how many? Now, some of you might have this answer. 364, 365, certain times 366, right? Maybe very few will say 354 days in a year. So now that we know a week is a position from the first workday, the beginning of the first workday, to the end of the rest day, seventh day rest. That's the period of a week, right? Now, how many weeks are in a year? Again, some of you might say 52 weeks. That's what's in your head, right? Remember, a week is 6 work days and 1 rest day. 6 work days and 1 rest day. You're not taking days from over here to merge with days over there and say it's a week. We're past that explanation already. So you only have in every month 4 periods of 6 work days and a rest day. So in every month, you will only find 4 weeks. Now again, let's do the math. 7 days in a week times 4 equal 28. So 28 days. Am I saying each month carries 28 days? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you have 4 weeks, 4 sets of 7 days equals 28. And this is why you only get 4 weeks. But you can have a new moon day and you can also have a 30th day. So at all times in a month, you will have 29 or 30 days. But in terms of week, you can only have 4 weeks. It's just like if you should go to the Roman calendar and you would have, say they have a 31st day, right? But what happens is sometimes what they'll do is they will start it from here in the middle of the week and ends here. But that's not a week. You cannot take 3 days from one month or miss 3 days from it and you say it's a week. So sometimes you'll find they have 3 periods of 7 days only, and then some days down here and some days up there. But you cannot take the days up here and add to the days down here and say that's a week. You cannot take some days from the ending of May and the beginning of June and you put them together on paper and say that's a week. This only happens in your head, but physically you cannot do it. For example, on this Roman calendar, May is going to be, for example, on the Roman calendar, the 31st of May would be on a Wednesday here, right? The 1st of June is going to be here on a Thursday. But in reality, can you merge 2 months together? So if this month has 31 days, that means there are no more days or space for days existing for this week. It ends here because the week is only within the month. You cannot find 1 week split between 2 separate months because they're separated. The question is, if the Most High separated the first month from the second month, who is joining them? That's what I want you to ask yourself. The Most High separated the first month from the second month because you can tell them apart, so they're separated. Who is joining them? It's the same when you go to the day and night. He said he divided the light from the dark, and he named this day and he named this night. So if he divided them, who is merging them for you to even think that there are 24 hours in a day? He said he divided them. There's no scripture said he merged them back together. Who is convincing you that the Most High merged together what he already separated? Someone is convincing you. Explore those beliefs. Find scriptures to support where he merged day and night, where you can call a night day. That's confusion. The Most High is not the author of confusion. What he separates stays separate. He separated the waters from the dry land. You can see it today. He separated the heavens from the earth. You can see it today. He separated Esau from Jacob. You can see it today. He separated the righteous from the wicked. You can see it today. So why is it that he separated day from night, but no one can see it? My thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways, right? So it's important for us to understand that this 52 weeks in a year, it's a concept of the mind. It's not a realistic thing from the understanding of what the concept of a biblical week is, because it's only 6 work days and a seventh day rest. I hope this brings clarity. I hope this brings discernment. I hope you get to also separate what you've learned in this culture from what this is really showing, and you can get some understanding if you're humble enough to look, listen, and discern the message in this video. You know what you already believe. You know what your beliefs are. You can just put it down for a second and discern and see if there's any connection within your spirit. And I hope you get the understanding that you're looking for. Shalom.